DC Studios CEO James Gunn wants DCU to connect across film, TV, and games. This whole article is based off of this tweet where somebody on Twitter, the Rabbit Opossum, tweeted at James Gunn and said, quote, "Are there plans for games to be connected to the DCU as well, Mr. Gunn?" And he simply responded, "Yes." And that's the whole thing. As far as like what this means, it literally could mean almost anything. Whether that means like they directly take, say, like whatever Batman 2 or whatever the next Joker movie is, whatever those things are, and then they make video games directly inspired by those, like they used to do in the early 2000s, mid 2000s with video game movie adaptations, or movie video game adaptations. Maybe that's what they're talking about doing. Maybe they just have like skins from the movies available in the games, kind of like Marvel's Spider-Man, where you can play with that skin. Who knows? But either way, they're looking at trying to tie those things in. And also, can we just give these guys some credit for this Photoshop job? I mean, look at that. Tremendous. Just utterly tremendous. Just looks great. They really did. This is like a straight up MS Paint job. It's so funny. Just plop it on. Just put his face on Batman. It'll be fine. Just put his face on Batman. We don't need to do anything else. I have faith in James Gunn. I think James Gunn is a great director. I do think that he tends, it's like Taika Waititi. Like their stuff all tends to lean into more goofy than grounded and serious, which can be really great. And obviously, that's what most superhero fans nowadays want out of their superhero movies, because we've seen the overwhelming success of Marvel versus DC in the last like 15 years. My frustration is sometimes they get a little too caught up in it and they just like totally space making an interesting movie, and the whole movie is just the like goofing around Taika Waititi stuff, you know? And that's it. Marvel is getting more criticism because of it. We want better stories and consequences for character actions. Well, I think that maybe I wasn't clear. Like in the last 15 years, the Marvel strategy clearly has been more successful than DC and their strategy with the superhero movies, with Batman v Superman, regularly roasted films and stories. I think that that's pretty standard. I don't think that's a super controversial thing to say. Even my buddy Michael, who's crazy obsessed with the DC universe, I think even he would agree. Yeah, Marvel's been more successful at the box office than DC has. But that's changed recently, because I think in the last few releases, whether you look at the most recent Thor movie, even Thor Ragnarok had a similar issue. I haven't seen it. I've heard other things with regard to what was the other one that just launched? There was another Marvel movie that just, I don't remember. But there have been a few of the most recent releases just kind of land flat. And it's like, what was the movie about? I don't know, like some stuff happened. There was some like punching and stuff, and then some silly moments where like they broke the fourth wall a little, and like it's kind of silly. Like the movies are painfully forgettable. It's like every Marvel movie nowadays feels like it's just Iron Man 2, you know, where it's just perfectly forgettable. Maybe Iron Man 3 is a better example, because Iron Man 3 was also just like totally forgettable. Like, who's the bad guy in Iron Man 3? Ben Kingsley, but it wasn't Ben Kingsley, it was somebody else. You know, they just start pumping them out, and it's just frustrating, because I'm like, I want better stuff. So I think it's just starting to stagnate. But what's crazy, and this is something I just thought about, I was thinking about the other day, like those of us who grew up from like, say, our teen years were 2010 to 2018 or 2007 to 2015, whatever it was. For those of us who grew up in that time period, like we grew up with the Tony Stark Marvel story arc. Like we grew up with Iron Man and the Avengers and all of that. And as we grew up and landed into adulthood, right at the end of our adulthood, we got like Infinity War, Endgame, and the stories reached a conclusion as we grew up. And for me, like I reached the point where I just realized like, okay, I'm good. I feel good. I don't feel the need. Like even I love Doctor Strange. I think he's one of the most interesting superheroes in Marvel. But like even that Doctor Strange 2 whatever the subtitle was that just recently came out. Even that movie I felt was pretty phoned in. Like it just there was very little growth in any character other than the villain, like, and even that she just returned how she used to be, so it wasn't even growth. It was just like reductive. I don't know, it was just weird. And I just don't feel the need to watch any more of it. But who knows? Maybe they can shake it up and come up with something new. I just think after 15 years of making very similar movies, it's time to shake it up a little. No Way Home, I think was good, mostly because of the cameos and the nostalgia factor. But you can't make that movie again.